So we're here with Jade Rides, and we've got a little Q&A to ask her. So first off, the introductions, Jade.
Yes.
Tell us a bit about yourself.
Okay, I'm 26, a maths teacher from England, and I've been vegan about 6 years. And yeah, just went travelling for 5 months across Europe and a bit of Asia.
Okay, what's your riding history then?
So I just passed my license, did my test 3 years ago, like a day ago or something like that. And I had a van 125 for a little while. And then I did a bit of travelling on that and decided, okay, I'm not going to wait until I'm old enough to do my full A licence. I'll do my A2. And I got another bike, a Royal Enfield Himalayan, did my test on that. Wanted something bigger, got a Suzuki V-Strom 650 and travelled a bit on that. And yeah, that's it basically. Had a few bikes in between as well.
Okay, so obviously you've just been on this trip. How did you end up deciding to do that trip, and why did you choose Forgotten Animals and Mental Health Motorbike as your charities?
Okay, so the trip was originally actually going to be to Mongolia with my boyfriend, and we were going to travel together because before I started riding motorbikes, I had been riding horses, which isn't very vegan, I know, and I'd fallen off, broke my pelvis, and me and my boyfriend had been together literally 2 weeks, and I was like, well, I need to move in now because I can't move, I've got a broken pelvis. And whilst I was on bed rest, he was planning his ride. He wanted to do a 4-month trip to Mongolia, and I was just thinking, well, I don't want you to go without me, so I want to come with you. And he was like, not on my bike, you're not, so you can learn to ride your own. And I think he said that jokingly, but I then did get the van, as I said earlier, and learnt to ride. And then during COVID lockdown, things were a bit crazy, and he decided he wanted to do a trip on his own. And out of spite more than anything, I was like, well, you're not going to do a trip without, I want to do a trip still. So it was completely just because I was like, well, I'm still going to do it. And I didn't 100% mean it at the time, but the more I said it, the more it became real. And that's how the trip came about. And Mongolia became off the cards because of COVID. So it was then Russia, which is when Forgotten Animals, I was looking into charities to visit, sort of sanctuaries and rescues. And Forgotten Animals had a big Russian sanctuary area, as well as the former Ukraine and what do you call it? Yugoslavia? Yeah. So that area. So I thought, okay, I can see a few of their sanctuaries and go and visit. And then Russia stuff kicked off, obviously, so I couldn't go there, but I still wanted to support the charity, especially with all the work they're doing with the animals and in Ukraine mainly now at the moment. Mental Health Motorbike I've been supporting since they started, so I'm glad you've got the hoodie on. And mental health's been a massive thing for me since I can remember. Like, I've had anxiety, depression, later on got a panic disorder, PTSD, a lot of things happened, and motorbikes basically saved me from a lot of that.
Yeah. And
so when Mental Health Motorbike came about, it was something I really wanted to get on board with, so I wanted to raise the money for them as well.
Excellent. Okay. So, Jade, tell us about your bike and any modifications you made to it for the trip.
Okay, that's a long question. It's a Yamaha WR250R. And on it there's a lot. I've got SM Pro Platinum wheels, a bigger front brake from the Supermoto version of the WR, a safari tank, so I can do 180 miles roughly instead of about 100 from the standard tank.
That's a big difference, isn't it?
Yeah. I still managed to run out of fuel. Still had to carry extra. What else? I got heated grips, the usual, comforts, a seat concept, low seat because I'm short, Bart Buster handguards, pannier rack on one side for weight saving. What else do I have? That's the main stuff. A lowering link because, like I said, I'm short,
Yeah.
and they're quite tall bikes, standard. That's the main stuff.
What mileage is on the bike now?
About 26,000 miles.
Did anything go wrong with it while you were away?
No,
No?
not a single mechanical issue. Good old Yamaha, give me a bike, please.
That's the beauty of those. I mean, it's a simple bike. There's nothing much to go wrong in there.
Yeah, the only issues I had were with wiring of things we added, like the heating grips and USB charger. Things that Yamaha don't put on, so I can't fault them.
So we're going to move on to the questions now. So the first one is from Mental Health Motorbike themselves, and it is, which is the most challenging? Working as a maths teacher in a UK secondary school, or travelling some of the most dangerous roads across Europe?
Teaching, definitely teaching. Try work with 11 to 18-year-olds. And
I think I'll agree with you there, Jade. Next question from Catherine D. Martino Cook. Hope I've said that right. How did you cope when your mental health took over?
That was the difficulty, especially at the beginning of the trip. The first 3-4 weeks, I was actually really struggling with depression and loneliness, and I was camping a lot, so I wasn't actually meeting people. And then I was just trying to keep in touch with people from back home, so talk to my boyfriend every day, and eventually I started staying in hostels when it got cheaper. When I went more east, I could afford to do that. And then I just started making friends, meeting people, and that kind of thing. And my mental health improved the further I got along. And I set myself small targets. Like the first target was get to my sisters in Switzerland. And then after that, it was get to do the ACT, the Adventure Country Tracks in Italy. And then it was just small targets, and then get to the Balkans, get to Turkey, and then it went, okay, it smoothed out.
You've done this before.
Definitely
you're a
some of this.
I don't know what you were worried about. You're a natural at this.
I don't know about that.
So the next question from Catherine. What was a time when you thought you couldn't do this by yourself, but persevered and got through it?
All the time. No, it was. I don't know. There were times that were really tough. I think when I did the Stella Alpina rally in Italy, that was the first time I'd got to a really tough point mentally and got really anxious and was just having a breakdown. I
guess there was a lot of pressure on that, wasn't there, as well?
I told myself that's what I'm doing. But then when it came to it, I had a really bad night's sleep. I woke up basically in an anxiety attack, thinking I was choking, and the whole morning I just spent panicking about riding this mountain. And the people that I was meeting at the event were saying how scary and showing me videos of when they got stuck in the snow and had to shovel their way out of it, and they're like, oh, but there's no snow this year, it's fine, but they were still terrifying me about it. So that was the hardest, but I just made myself, again, small goals. I just said, right, just get to the refuge, which is, I don't know, a quarter of the way up, and then see how I feel. And then once I got there, I was like, right, I'm just going to go to the first bend and see how that was. And I just carried on. Next bend, next bend, next bend, and then next thing I know, I'm at the top, and I was like, okay, I can do this. So
it's the way to do it, though, isn't it? Set yourself small goals, and if you exceed them, then it's a bonus, isn't it? Next two questions are from Dionysus James.
We'll go with James.
How much planning was done in advance, and how much, if any, was made up on the way?
There's only so much you can plan for 5 months, so I knew my rough route, but I originally actually wanted to go to Spain, Andorra, Portugal, and I couldn't because of a knee injury. So I ended up spending more time in Italy and just changing my plans a lot. So I did plan a lot before the trip, and then that changed completely about 5 million times, and then I just decided I'm just going to do it every day as it comes. And sometimes I'd plan a week or a few days, and that was okay, but most of the time it was just winging it. It was just winging it.
Can you tell us about your knee injury, how that happened?
Yeah, so I'm an Irish dancer and I have what they call runner's knee, which can be prevented from proper strength building and that kind of thing, and rest after doing such a, like, the injury. But it happened about a week before the trip or 2 weeks before the trip, so there was no time to rest or build strength. It was just straight going, and then I ended up having a few mishaps along the way which made the injury worse, so every time it was getting better it would then get worse again.
I think the worst one was in France, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah, so I had an accident on a roundabout in France. There was an oil slip that I didn't see, and the front end just went. There was nothing I could have done really, and as I was sliding down the road on my knee shouting out, I literally looked up and there was a big bus coming towards me, not looking like they were going to stop in time, so I genuinely thought, okay, I'm going to die, not because of the bike but because of a bus. That was terrifying, and I ended up in an ambulance in France where they thought my leg was broken, but I refused to go to the hospital because I didn't want to leave my bike on the road. So I just carried on and hoped that it wasn't broken, basically, which
thankfully it wasn't. So the second question from James: did you rigidly stick to a plan or allow room for spontaneity?
It varied. So the last few weeks it was quite a strict plan, so I knew I wasn't going to miss the ferry to get home. That was quite important. But a lot of the time it was just whatever I fancy doing, that kind of thing. So no, I didn't stick to anything rigidly.
It's the best way to, isn't it, sometimes, So the next question is from Moto Waifu. What kind of budget did you save to do such a long trip?
I'd say about £1,500 a month. But I could have done it cheaper if I had camped more, but
you needed some creature comforts along the way, don't you?
Vegan food everywhere was. I wanted to go to the restaurants and just cook myself food.
Well, that brings us on to the next question, actually, from Brian Dunajski Michael John.
Long name.
I hope I said that right, Brian. He's in the group, so he'll tell me if I haven't. How did you cope on the vegan diet?
It was really mixed depending on the country and whether I actually could be bothered to cook or just eat nuts for a day or two. So I used Happy Cow, the app. If you don't use that, you need to.
Yeah, Happy Cow's the best.
Yeah, so some days I would actually plan my entire route on going to a vegan restaurant or somewhere that I knew I was going to eat well. And like I said, it varied massively from country to country. So, mostly it was okay. I only starved a few weeks out of the 5 months.
So again, that leads us on to the next question from John P. O'Grady. John P. O'Grady, if it's
Maria.
Yeah. Maria.
Hi, Maria.
Which country was the hardest to find vegan food in?
Oh, Turkey was hard.
Turkey, yeah. I was surprised. I thought it'd be with olives and...
I suppose it depends if you like olives and salad.
Yeah, I love olives, so I
do not.
I could live on olives.
No.
Olives for the win.
Turkey banned vegan cheese.
Did
So
they?
you cannot buy vegan cheese.
Wow.
They can't. Why would they ban vegan cheese for?
I don't know.
They're very big on dairy there.
Yeah.
Very, very big.
It's probably still available, but under a different name, I bet you, isn't it? Yeah, so
Maybe.
Yeah.
No, Turkey was hard, and Georgia's okay if you like beans. Everything's beans. Bean bread, bean stew, beans, basically, which is okay until it's
I suppose you can get a bit beaned out, can't you? Yeah.
It's always... yes, very beige meals, and I got a bit bored of that, but I didn't starve there.
Next one from Adrian John Pavey. Something many of us will want to know is how she copes with being vegan in countries that don't provide as many vegan options as we are used to. Are you taking your own food and cooking yourself, or winging it and hoping you find some something better than chips and black coffee. So,
Sometimes I'll just go to a supermarket or a market and cook with my cooking stove. Made quite a few stir fries, rice dishes, that kind of thing. But I didn't do that as often as I should for the money saving. So I did end up just going to cafes and restaurants. And for the most part, especially in the cities and the big towns, there were vegan places, fully vegan places, or vegetarian and vegan places, almost everywhere.
yeah, you want some creature comforts, don't you?
So I actually ate really well in most places. The Balkans were tough because I don't like salad, and it's literally just salad and meat. And
You're a tough vegan.
I am a tough vegan. I break away from the stereotype of vegans just eating salad. And I didn't eat many chips abroad.
What?
No?
I went, no.
So the next question, Martin, you might as well ask it yourself.
Oh.
You can
Yeah, was there any parts of the trip that felt particularly dangerous, whether it be because of the country, because of the roads, or any times you just felt in danger?
One of the scariest times was actually in Switzerland, which is a very long story. So, but other than that, because that will take a long time to say. East Turkey was scary. I was walking from a hostel into town just to get some shopping and stuff, and I looked around and I was the only female out. It was just men, and they were just staring at me everywhere. And I went into the shop and again looked around, and all I could see were men or women that had been dropped off. Their partner was waiting in the car, and then they would get straight in the car, and that's when I kind of thought, this is a different culture. And and then again in East Turkey, I was grabbed. Someone tried kissing me. A hotel owner wouldn't let me basically go into my room to lock the door. He was adamant he was buying me dinner and getting me drunk, and I had to basically pull with all my might away from him, slam the door and lock it, and I didn't even eat that day because I didn't dare leave the room. So that was the scariest, apart from Switzerland, scary. Yeah, east of Turkey was very different to the west though, so I don't want to brand the whole country as the same. West of Turkey, I've met loads of lovely people. People were really nice and friendly, but it was sort of near Iran and the Armenian, that kind of area. That was a bit crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wasn't expecting quite that.
But people always warned me about Turkey and said, as a girl, be careful. And then people would say, oh, but you're not blonde, so it's actually okay. But a lot of people did say, be careful there. And I was like, people say be careful at every other country, don't they? The next country's the most dangerous country. So I was like, no, it'll be okay. And then, it wasn't as great as I thought.
Okay, Jade, I have a question. It's two questions.
Yeah.
First one is, what was your most used tool when you were away?
Oh, my most used tool. I could say my hammer for swatting people away, but no, it wasn't that. I took a Leatherman, Wave Plus, I think it is, the biggest one, and I use that every day for everything. Like, it has everything on it, so I actually call it the hemp woman to be more vegan and more. So if I accidentally say hemp woman, I'm sorry. I use that a lot, and I didn't need any tools for the bike because nothing went wrong. I took everything to adjust my chain. It never once needed adjusting. Brilliant DID gold chain. The best. And I just used old engine oil to brush on the chain to keep it lubricated. So when I did an oil change, I used that. So I didn't really use that many tools, but the Leatherman, hemp woman, I used that a lot.
Okay. My other question is, what parts of your character came to the front on the travels that you think you will take on further in your life now? What surprised you about what you could do?
Everything surprised me because I used to be so anxious. Well, I wouldn't have done this before the trip, I don't think. And when I was at university, I suffered really bad with anxiety to the point where I wouldn't leave my room for weeks on end, and my flatmates had to go buy me food because I couldn't leave the flat and I wouldn't go to university. So I've gone from that person to being able to do this whole trip, and very rarely did I feel anxious. It was, I could think of maybe 5 times that I had really bad anxiety, and that was it in 5 months. Whereas, so that's the thing that surprised me the most. I actually got back last week and had to ring a job, like to accept or decline a job, and I was so scared to make a phone call, and I just was like, Jade, what have you done? Like, you've just been around the world. You can make a phone call, and I just kicked myself and said, get over it. So that surprised me the most, how sort of I could overcome that anxiety, and just general confidence and being able to crack on and do things when I didn't think I would. Because if you don't, there are some times when, well, what else is going to happen? You're just going to lay here on a mountain and die? Like, there's no fallback. You're on your own. You have to just get on with it. So, yeah, same when I was ill. I had food poisoning. I was like, well, no one else is going to save me. I just got to get on with it and survive. So, just that strength, I think, surprised me a lot.
And do you think it'll make you a better teacher?
Yeah. 100%. I don't think I can be scared of 15-year-olds the way that I maybe was before, because I've seen so much more than they have, and I hope that I can bring those experiences in the classroom, and maybe do assemblies. Who knows? Absolutely. Hopefully encourage young people to do
bring the
stuff.
Bike in.
Yeah. I would probably get nicked if I took my bike to school, but
you might get some street cred.
Yes, maybe. Okay. Any more questions?
Technical question. What kind of tyres did you use, and why did you choose them?
Yeah, I took Michelin's because they're vegan. That was the main thing. I wanted vegan tyres, and Anarchy Wilds because I knew I'd be doing some off-roading, but not massive amounts. I had originally planned on doing a lot more off-road, but because it was the summer, there shouldn't have been too much mud, so that wasn't an issue. And my rear tyre lasts so long, I didn't need to change it until Bulgaria. So more than pretty much nearly half the trip. And the front tyre has only just in the last 2 days of the trip needed changing. So that front tyre actually has been to Africa and back. It's on my boyfriend's previous bike, which was a Tiger 800. So it's ridden to like Morocco, Mauritania and back, and then the entirety of my trip before it needed changing. So best tyres I've ever had. Like, I really love them.
That's good going. So did you manage to find the same kind of rear tyre when you were in Bulgaria, or did you have to choose something else?
No, I did manage to find it, but it took a long wait. I ordered it from a website that said like 3-day delivery from the EU. And I think it ended up taking 12 or 13 days. So I was just going to get it and go straight to Turkey, and I ended up spending a week in Bulgaria and then went up to Romania. But it was good. I got to ride the Transfiguration and the Transalpina, so it all worked out good in the end, and I got the tyre I really wanted.
There's a meadow halfway up the Transfiguration with some pigs in it.
Oh.
Did you meet them?
I didn't. I didn't see any pigs.
I'll tell you all about it after.
Okay. We've got another question.
So you talked about a camping stove earlier on. What kind of camping stove did you use, and did it work all the time?
Oh no, it didn't work all the time,
right,
but
okay.
I think a lot of that was user error. So I had the Coleman Sportster 533, which everyone says is brilliant, but it was temperamental with some unleaded clogging it, Romanian mainly.
Top tip, bring a little bottle of Red X and put it
Yes. Yeah, I didn't think of that. So it got clogged a few times, and a few times I had to take it all apart about 5 times in the trip. Yeah. And at that point I just thought, oh, sod it, I'll just go to a vegan cafe. So I didn't use it very much. I didn't use it that much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Jade,
Yes.
before we were so rudely interrupted, did you have any offs?
Yeah, so I had one on a roundabout in France, the south of France, that was in Nice. But before that, I had an off-roading accident on the adventure country tracks in Italy, which was a bit crazy because it looked so easy at the beginning. It was just a little gravel road with some farms to the side and everything was looking good. And then as I got higher and higher, it got steeper and steeper and there's a massive rut. And I stopped like an idiot because I panicked. And then when I went to start again, my rear wheel was in the lower part of the rut and my front wheel was at the higher bit, and I thought if I just give it enough revs I'll be alright. And it didn't go so well and my bike ended up falling. I just filled it with petrol, so it was fully loaded, which was probably why it fell over, and I could not lift it for the life of me. I just couldn't pick it up. So I went on Facebook groups, the TEP page and various other things, did some Instagram stories, and within half an hour I had 4 people message me saying, we live close, we can come rescue you, are you hurt, do you need this, do you need that? And I just sat in the shade. It was 37 degrees in Italy at that point, and I only had like that much water, so I had my water, sat in the shade, and then I heard a 2-stroke coming up the hill, and this young lad got off the bike. He looked about 17 and he just ran up the hill. So it was just knight in shining armour and it was brilliant. And then I had another accident in Greece on the back of a rented bike that my boyfriend, we'd flown over for a week. We'd thought we'll have a day off my bike and go to the beach and have a nice relaxing time. And there was another roundabout, would you believe? So we came off again on the same leg that's injured. So that was the 3rd injury of the knee. And I didn't have my knee pads on because we were just going to the beach. So yeah, lesson learned, always wear protection, always. They were my main offs. I also came off on the D915, the world's most dangerous road of Turkey. That ended okay, so it's all good.
What were the best bits of the whole trip from any aspect?
That's such a difficult question. The people, I think the best bits were just the people that I met of all ages, characters, craziness levels. I think you can go on a trip and you can go see museums and go sightsee and see all the famous landmarks and stuff, but it's the people you meet that you remember the most, and so they were the highlights. So I can't say a generic best bit, but the people. And what was the other part of the question?
Well, the next bit is the obvious. What were the worst bits?
Worst bits were being vegan, but not in the sense of food, but just the cultural difference in the East. So Turkey and Georgia were really mentally difficult because I saw a lot of dead animals, like more than I ever thought I would have to. And I won't go into graphic detail, but it was really distressing, and it still haunts me now. I still think about what I've seen. That was the hardest and worst bit.
From the whole trip, were there things that you would recommend others should try?
The whole trip, just go wherever you can, even if it's just a couple of weeks you've got. Go to the Alps or the Pyrenees, or just get out of grey and wet England and go see a different culture, even if you've not got much. Yeah.
And conversely, is there anything you'd say, whatever you do not do that?
Don't go to Greece. The roads are very slippery. I wouldn't go back to Greece because people really hated me for being English, and I've met a few other English people that have had issues there. I know it's not going to be everybody that feels that way, but in general, I didn't enjoy it there. Didn't feel welcomed at all. And even on the border, when I was leaving the country, they refused to look at me when they found out I was English. So when I passed the passport over, and they were like, "Oh, hello, Italia," and I was like, "No, English," and they went straight from smiling and laughing to me to not looking and looking through my passport rigorously and not wanting anything to do with me. They wouldn't look at me. They gave me the passport looking like this. So Sorry, Greece, whatever we've done. Sorry.
Don't worry about that. They hate me too, and I'm Greek.
We spoke about it before, it's all right. No hard feelings.
Last bit is, will there be a version 2?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I'm already planning more trips and maybe not on my own. I've got trips I want to do maybe with a van, with the dogs, my partner. I want to go with a friend and maybe do bike trips again. Yeah, there's so many things on the tables. I think once you've done something like that, you can't just say no to more adventures. People that have travelled will know.
You've missed off your last question, Brian, which I think is quite interesting.
Go on then.
Good, bad bits about travelling alone.
Ah, okay. The best thing was meeting everyone, because if you're with someone or with a group, I don't think you're as likely to talk to others, because you don't need that. Whereas if you're on your own, you will go insane if you don't talk to people. So you just kind of have to talk to them.
I do agree, yeah.
And I'm a very social person. I like talking to people. So I probably was the annoying person in every hostel that was like, hello, like a hamster or a gerbil or something. Just hello.
You see, I'm not a very sociable person myself, really, but you know, I can emphasise with that. If I'm alone, then I will make the effort more to speak to people. So yeah.
But the worst bit was when you're in pain or you just feel you miss home and you miss the dogs or whatever it is. Then there's not someone to cry on so much. Well, unless you want to make that kind of friend in a hostel. Hello.
So these questions are from Jonathan Brown. Which places surprised you the most?
Italy and France surprised me the most for how much vegan food there was, because everyone says, "Oh no,
I agree
there's
with
just
France.
cheese and everything."
Yeah, I
But
agree with France.
You can go to the supermarkets and they'll have aisles full. In Carrefour, it's literally like there's more vegan food there than in England.
I don't understand how people can go to France and starve. There's loads of food. You just got to look for it.
So that surprised me. Same with Italy. Even every ice cream place had a vegan option, at least of dark chocolate, and their dark chocolate ice cream is just incredible.
And how did people respond when you spoke of your struggles with mental health and your veganism?
Veganism not so welcomed. Mental health, it didn't come up that much whilst actually travelling, but on social media I would talk about it and try and spread the word, and you know, there shouldn't be so taboo. So was very, very good responses from opening up, and a lot of people have come to me and said thank you for sharing your story, blah, blah, blah. So that was really good. On the vegan front, you still get hate, like wherever you are in the world. People will have their judgments and think that you can't possibly eat anything, but people were generally less bullying than they are. I know that's bad English, but they were more receptive to it abroad than I expected. Because in England you get steak though, bacon though. You didn't get that abroad.
Bacon.
I think maybe language barriers stopped that.
Okay, so next was, what was the greatest challenge you overcame?
Completing the trip. That was the biggest challenge, because
the whole thing was a challenge. Wasn't it?
Every day was a challenge.
If it wasn't a challenge, then
everyone would do it.
Everyone would do it, wouldn't it? So
the whole thing. Even just leaving, that first day was tough, and then getting on the ferry was tough, and every day there was a new challenge. So completing it.
Were there any challenges that you couldn't overcome, and how did you adapt and adjust your plans?
I don't think there were. I couldn't lift my bike on my own, so I suppose that was a challenge, but I overcame it by finding someone that could lift my bike. That was the main challenge if I dropped it. So
yeah, that counts, doesn't it? How were the people along the way, and do you think you've made any new lifelong friends?
Yes, 100% on the friendship. I've got people already saying they'll come visit and booking flights to come over to England, which I'm very excited about.
Excellent.
And yeah, I still talk to nearly everyone I befriended on the trip, thanks to Instagram. So yeah, very much. And in general, everyone was really friendly, and there were very few unfavourable characters.
Yeah.
Like literally a handful of people I didn't like, out of hundreds, if not maybe 1,000 people I loved. So
Yeah.
no, it was good.
That's good. Right, so next we're on to... These are my questions now.
Okay. Woo.
So what was the most... what was the most indispensable item in your whole kit?
Oh. What can I...
The one thing that you wouldn't have been able to live without?
My raincoat, probably.
Right answer, probably. Yeah.
Because when it was wet, it poured. So,
Yeah. Seen some of it. Stuff you posted. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been caught in germany in torrential rain for a whole day before, and that was
it's not
wasn't
fun.
good. Everything starts fading after a while, doesn't it?
It's not fun.
Yeah. Similarly, how much stuff that you initially packed did you end up junking in just the first few weeks?
My sleeping bag, because it was so hot at the beginning of the trip, I didn't need it. I could just sleep in nothing. It was just really hot. And I ended up getting another one that was a lot smaller and lighter later on in the trip. That was pretty much it. Everything else I took, I've brought back.
That's good then, yeah. 'Cause usually you pack a load of stuff, then a few days afterwards you realise you don't need half of it and chuck it away, don't you? I think most travellers would agree with me there, wouldn't they? Yeah.
Some things I thought, do I really need to take it, like the exotog? But then the last month or so, I wouldn't have survived without my exotog.
Yeah.
Which is, for people that don't know, it's like an air vest you put on, blow it up with air, and it keeps you warm. It's a good bit of kit.
Was there ever a point you got so hungry that you considered eating animal products?
No, never, ever. I've told people I'd rather die than eat animals. There were days when I literally would just go to the petrol station and have a bag of mixed nuts, and that was it. That was all I ate. But
I'd rather starve, So that's the right answer, Jade. Proud of you.
No, I met people that said they were vegan, but they were eating cheese, and they said, we just can't. You can't live without eating. And I was like, well, just ask for it without cheese, maybe, or no.
I mean, worst case scenario, you can find nuts and salad, can't you? Yeah, so you can get enough.
And I wasn't even eating salad.
Keep going, yeah. But yeah, I like salad, so
there's always fruit, especially.
Fruit.
In
So
Eastern.
So if push comes to shove, you can
live on bananas.
But then
watermelon.
But I've not travelled as extensively as some of you. But wherever I've been, I've never had a problem.
No.
Find it. Even Belgium was probably a little bit difficult, and Stavros would probably agree with me. But I found Belgium a bit difficult.
Northern Spain up in the mountains, horrendous.
Northern
Spain, all around the Potes, the Pyrenees, all around there is terrible. Meat with everything. And I would have starved. I literally had to just order something which looked like it had the least meat, because nothing had no meat, pick it all out and eat the stuff that was left.
Gosh.
I had no choice, because there was nothing, literally nothing.
Was that recent?
2017, 5 years ago. But you're out in the middle of nowhere up in the mountains, so...
It's difficult. You've got to take a packed lunch.
What's wrong with a bit of grass? Actually,
I don't do drugs, Bruce.
How did you pace yourself for the trip? Did you have a few days riding and a few days off, or did you just wing it?
Just varied massively. So sometimes I'd do big days. Sometimes I'd have a day off. There was no plan. In an ideal situation, I'd have probably done 4 days on and then a day off or something like that. But it didn't always work out like that. And weather dependent as well. If I knew a big storm was coming up, I'd try and get somewhere to wait.
So basically just winged it, really? Yeah. And what was the most mileage you've done in a day?
About 320 miles, I think, was my biggest, which was torturous.
Yeah, see, some of these people do like 1,000 miles a day. It's just like, well, there's no pleasure in it, isn't there? You just,
No, there's no.
you're just rushing to get somewhere. You want to enjoy the scenery. So when I'm on tour, I like to do about 200 at the most, yeah. And that gives you enough time.
It's tough still.
Yeah, I mean, 200 miles, it gives you time to stop and explore a bit, doesn't it? Whereas, yeah. But then some people do enjoy the iron butt challenges, don't they?
Yeah.
But not for me.
Not for me. Not for me.
So were there any times when you considered just checking it all in and flying home?
Yes.
Yeah.
The accident in France.
Yeah. You were close, weren't you?
Yeah, I was close.
I could sense from speaking to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was still relatively fresh into the trip, and I just thought, gosh, if my knee's going to hurt this much from the injury and then extra pain from accident, I just thought, what's the point? I could come home and do it another time.
Yeah.
But I didn't, and I'm glad I didn't come home because...
We're glad too. Did you encounter any physical health issues along the way, and how did you deal with them?
Mainly the knee injury.
Yeah.
I just knew when to stop off-roading, so I didn't off-road as much as I wanted. I really wanted to do loads of adventure country tracks, and that just didn't end up happening because I knew that off-roading and standing up on the pegs just wasn't something I could do. And if I did do that, I couldn't pick up my bike, so doing it doing it alone was risky, and it would mean that I'd have pain all night during sleeping, and I just thought, okay, I'm just going to have to slog it on roads more. Yeah. Which is unfortunate because the bike is literally made for. It's a dual sport. It wants to go off road. Yeah. As do I, but I can do it in the future, maybe with somebody or the group.
You're still young. You got plenty of time to do it. Haven't you? Yeah. We've touched on a similar question, but what advice would you give to someone considering doing a trip like yours?
Just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it.
Because life is too short. Literally, you don't know what's around the corner. And
you could drop dead tomorrow, couldn't you? Yeah.
As morbid as that is, like you can always wait for the perfect gear, the perfect amount of money, which I suppose is infinite, but you can always wait. There's always an excuse. Just stop making excuses and just do it. You know, I ended up selling a couple of bikes that were back home whilst away because I was running out of money. Yeah. Mainly because I was rescuing dogs. But no, just go and do it. You won't regret it, I'm sure. That's my advice. No,
absolutely. Wise words indeed. And is there a country that you haven't been to that you'd like to explore on two wheels?
I want to go up and do like Norway, Sweden. But I need a lot of money for that because it's not cheap.
It's not cheap, so yeah, that's it.
Awesome.
Any more questions, anyone?
How long is the Suez Canal? How long is the Suez Canal?
I don't know.
108 miles.
Exactly? Yeah? What's that in centimetres?
No idea.
Well, I think we should give Jade a round of applause.
Oh, no, you go, no. Thank you. Thank you for the questions.
Now, I wish I'd had the guts to do it at your age. I was in my 50s when I started travelling seriously on bikes, and I think it sounds like it was a fantastic experience for you.
Yeah, definitely.
And, first of many.
Yeah, I definitely want more. Thank you, though.
Well, thank you very much, Jade.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for the questions.
That's all right, and I look forward to editing. Yeah, I guess I look forward to editing this video.
Okay.
Wave to the camera.